Have you ever had one of those weeks where you're in the practice room, you're motivated, you're practicing a lot, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, but nothing seems to be getting better? You know, you're doing your long tones, you're doing your flexibility studies and your etudes, but things still feel kind of stuck. If that sounds like you, I completely understand. I've been there myself. I have good news that the problem you're experiencing isn't really related to how hard you're working or if you're motivated enough. It's all about how smart you're working. So in this video, I want to talk about 4 common mistakes that players make in the practice room and to try to give you simple solutions that will fix them. There's actually one thing I want to share at the end of this video that I don't see a lot of people talking about, but will make a huge difference in your health and longevity in your trumpet career. So to get started, let's talk about one of the most foundational mistakes that I see players make in the practice room, and that is not having a solid plan. A lot of players will walk into the practice room and they won't have really a clear idea of what they want to work on or what they want to accomplish. And even if they have a teacher that's assigned them things, they don't really have a good plan of how to work on it. So their practice ends up kind of improvisatory or random. I myself have practiced like this in the past, where I might go, I wonder if I can triple tongue today, and then I would start triple tonguing, and then I wonder how high I can play today, and then see how high I could play. There was no real structure. I was just seeing what I could do. The problem with practicing randomly or in an improvisatory way like this is that you get kind of random results. Maybe you get better, maybe you don't, and you're not really in control of whether it's happening. The 2 most basic elements you need in order to develop a pretty solid plan is 1, what are you going to practice and what is that going to accomplish? So for example, I'm going to practice flexibility, and that is going to help make sure things are loosened up so I have ease when I play. And the other thing you need is how are you going to work on it? So how long are you going to practice it? How fast are you going to practice it, or how slow? And maybe how many repetitions am I going to do? Making decisions like this ahead of time can make a big difference in how productive your practice sessions can be, because you've thought about it rationally ahead of time, so that when you're practicing, you're doing a rational, logical plan rather than some sort of improvisatory, random one. If that idea of having a structured plan for your practice sounds good to you and you're a college student, I want to invite you to something I'm really excited about. On Friday, June 27th, at 6 p.m. Central Time, I'm going to host a free online masterclass specifically aimed at college students. It's called the GOLD Method Masterclass, and it's aimed at giving strategies for how to develop better plans and get more out of your practice sessions so you can have better outcomes for the things that you care about, whether it's performances, juries, lessons, or whatever. If that sounds like something you're interested in, click the link down below in the description for more information. Getting back to the mistakes, the second mistake I see is a lot of players not really being able to define what success looks like. Once you've developed this plan from the previous mistake, it's a great first step, but if you walk into it with that plan but not knowing how to define whether you're accomplishing your goals or not, that's gonna be a problem. If you practice without being able to define success, it's easy to get 5, 6, 7, or more repetitions into a section of music without being sure if you've accomplished anything. It's easy to begin stress practicing at this point and realizing, well, I gotta move on so I can hit other things, but I don't know if I've gotten better, and things just get really confusing. The best way you can define success is just to ask yourself some questions that would lead you to this. Questions like, what would it sound like if this were easy? What specifically am I trying to fix today? How will I know if I've improved? What is my ideal sound in this passage? Being able to have answers to these questions will go a long way in your ability to define success, which is going to give your practice sessions the clarity it needs to be productive. Once you've answered these questions and you're able to define success, the next thing you need is to be able to know if you're actually achieving that success. And that moves on to the third mistake that I see a lot of players make, which is not recording yourself in your practice sessions. Now, I get it, recording yourself sucks. It's not fun to hear how bad you sound. In my past, I've really avoided recording myself for those reasons. I just didn't want to know how bad I sounded so I could pretend I sounded better than I actually did. But the thing is, recording yourself is the best source of feedback you'll ever get, and you need that accurate data to make real progress. In order to get better at this, I've tried to shift my mindset from I sound good or bad to how close do I sound to the sound in my head or my ideal sound. I identify things that are good that I'm doing that I need to keep doing, and then I just try to say, well, there are some differences. How would I go about making what I actually sound like closer to my ideal sound? This kind of objective view helps me be less emotional about this process and helps me get into recording myself and the real value that it provides. In an ideal world, all of us would have money to buy the best microphone setups so we can hear ourselves the best, but in my opinion, that's not even close to necessary. Your iPhone mic or whatever phone you have does a good enough job that you can get a lot of the feedback you need to make accurate decisions based on the accurate data your recordings provide. So now we've got a good plan, we know what success looks like, and we're getting feedback on our efforts. And this leads us to the fourth mistake that I see people make, which is playing the same routine for too long. Even the best routine in the entire world will lose its effectiveness over time. The body figures things out, and if we do the same routine the same way all the time, we will stop making progress. The way I like to think about this comes from my time spent in the gym, where if you squat the same weight over and over and over again, you won't get stronger. You have to add more weight, you have to add more reps or more sets in order to keep getting stronger or keep building more muscle. The same goes for the trumpet. We can't keep doing the same things. We have to make things more difficult. There are a couple examples of how you could make things harder over time. You could play stuff faster, you could play things higher, you could change the articulation, you could change the dynamics. These types of changes don't have to be profound, but we need to keep adding them in periodically so that our progress can continue to happen on the trumpet. The good thing about these small changes is that not only does it help your playing grow, but it keeps your mind engaged because you're not doing the same thing over and over again and you're not getting as bored. So I've got actually one bonus mistake that I want to share with you that's sort of not in that flow that I was sharing, but I think is important to talk about, and that is over practicing. Too many players think that I have to practice for tons of hours per day, that's how I'm gonna make progress, and they end up playing too much. Now there's a couple problems with this. The first problem with this is that when you play too much and you're playing on fatigued chops, it becomes hard to know if the problems you're experiencing are because I actually have a problem on the trumpet, or is it just because my chops are beat up? Another problem with over practicing is you end up borrowing from tomorrow's practice session. So you play for a lot of hours because it feels pretty good today, but tomorrow you already feel beat up when you pick up the horn, and it becomes a spiraling process where you're just only playing on beat up chops, never really playing as well as you can. The easiest way to solve this problem or to combat this mistake is to rest more. And to help with that, because I like structure, I'm gonna share a structure I learned from my friend Chris Smith, the principal trumpet of the San Diego Symphony. He recommends an 8 on, 4 off system of practicing where you practice for 8 minutes and then a timer goes off and then you rest for 4 minutes. And then when the timer goes off, you play for another 8 minutes and then you just repeat this process. This will ensure that you're getting a lot of good focused work in that 8 minutes, but you're resting before you're tired, which will allow you to sound better and feel better deeper into a practice session. So here is a very quick recap of all of the mistakes we covered. Mistake number 1, not having a clear plan. Mistake number 2, not being able to define success. Mistake number 3, not recording your practice. Mistake number 4, playing the same routine for too long. And then our bonus mistake, over practicing. If you feel overwhelmed by trying to fix all of these things, just pick one of them and try them out. I have a feeling it's gonna make a big difference in your practice. And if you can fix all of these things in your practice over time, I think it's gonna make a huge impact in the quality of your playing. If you're looking to fix mistake number 1, having that clear structured plan, click the video on the screen where I outline a simple 30-minute fundamentals routine that you can easily follow. We'll see you in the next video.